All right, welcome to Metal Over Texas, brought to you by Metal Motivation. This is a true metal family, right?
The last metal album I bought before I got into blues.
I tell you what, this is one of my favorite shows I've ever been to.
What happened when the cameras stopped rolling on one of reality TV's most electrifying car shows? Behind the roar of custom engines and the sparkle of polished chrome, Texas Metal built an empire on wheels. But beneath the surface of this automotive wonderland lurked secrets that would shatter everything fans thought they knew. Tonight, we're pulling back the curtain on Texas Metal, revealing the shocking arrests, the unimaginable tragedies, and the hidden struggles that nearly destroyed the very stars who brought these incredible machines to life. This is the untold story of what really happened to the Texas Metal crew. And I have to warn you, what you're about to discover will change how you see this show forever. The King's Fall, Bill Carlton's shocking arrest. For years, Bill Carlton was untouchable. He stood at the absolute pinnacle of the custom car world, the creative genius, the charismatic leader, the unstoppable force behind extensive metalworks.
I'm Bill Carlton. I built my first truck when I was 16, and ever since, me and my guys have been out here creating with our hands.
Every episode showcased his incredible vision, transforming ordinary vehicles into rolling sculptures that left audiences breathless. Bill was more than just a TV personality. He was a legend, a self-made success story who turned a childhood passion into a multi-million-dollar empire. Fans didn't just admire his work, they worshipped him. But here's what nobody saw coming. In 2022, everything came crashing down in the most devastating way imaginable. Bill Carlton was arrested. Let that sink in for a moment. The man who built an empire, who seemed to have it all figured out, who projected the image of the perfect family man on television, arrested on charges that would make your blood run cold. The automotive community erupted. Social media exploded with questions. What could possibly have happened? What was going on behind those garage doors that we never saw on camera? And here's where it gets even darker. The charges involved a family member. Think about that. This wasn't some business dispute or financial irregularity. This cut to the very core of Bill's personal life, shattering the carefully crafted image he'd presented to millions of viewers. The network went silent. The production team said nothing, and fans were left desperately searching for answers that seemed impossible to find. Now, before I reveal the full details of what happened, I need you to ask yourself something. How well do we really know the people we watch on TV? What happens when the carefully edited episodes don't show us the whole truth? Because what came next would expose a side of Bill Carlton that absolutely nobody anticipated. The police report from October 2022 carried the case number 22-1144796, filed in Montgomery County, Texas. And while the show and network remained frustratingly tight-lipped, investigative reports began piecing together what they called a deep, hidden truth. The charges were related to domestic violence. There it was, the dirty secret that had been hiding beneath the success, the fame, and the Instagram perfect life. The man who could build anything found himself facing accusations that contradicted everything his public persona represented. But here's the million-dollar question that's probably burning in your mind right now. Where is Bill Carlton today? Is he in prison? Did his empire crumble completely? The answer might surprise you. As of 2025, Bill Carlton is not in jail. Despite the shocking 2022 arrest and the serious nature of the accusations, the legal process appears to have concluded. Bill has been spotted at automotive events as recently as 2024. And here's the real kicker. New episodes of Texas Metal featuring Bill Carlton continued airing throughout 2024. How is that even possible? How does someone face such serious charges and then continue on television as if nothing happened? The truth is, the legal system worked its course, and whatever resolution was reached allowed Bill to continue his work. But make no mistake, the controversy left permanent scars on the show's reputation and raised uncomfortable questions about what we're really watching when we tune in to reality TV. Can you separate the art from the artist? Can you watch those incredible builds knowing what happened behind the scenes? That's a question every fan has had to wrestle with. But if you think Bill Carlton's arrest was the darkest moment in Texas metal history, you're not prepared for what comes next. Because nothing, absolutely nothing, could have prepared the Texas metal family for the tragedy that struck in 2025. The unimaginable loss. John Burgess. Let me introduce you to John Burgess, or rather, let me tell you about a man whose story will break your heart. John wasn't just another crew member. He wasn't just the guy who handled the upholstery. John Burgess was the soul of Texas metal, the interior guru whose artistic vision made sure that every custom car was just as stunning inside as it was outside. But John's talent was only part of his story. This was a man famous for his boisterous laugh, his loving nature, and a sense of humor that could transform any tough day in the shop into something bearable. He treated everyone, friends, neighbors, even strangers, like family. His presence was magnetic, his joy infectious. Now, here's what makes John's story even more remarkable. His life before Texas metal read like something out of a movie script. Born in Waco, Texas on February 26, 1986, John graduated from China Spring High School in 2004. But instead of jumping straight into automotive work, he pursued an entirely different passion: culinary arts. That's right. John attended the legendary Le Cordon Bleu Culinary School. He worked as a chef in some of the world's most incredible places. Stunning lodges at Yellowstone National Park, and even a prestigious Michelin 2-star restaurant in southern Italy. Can you imagine? This man, who would later become famous for stitching leather and crafting custom interiors, was once creating exquisite dishes for the world's most discerning diners. But John's journey didn't stop there. After marrying his beloved wife Julia Anderson, his calling to serve people led him down yet another path. He joined Julia's family business and became a fully licensed funeral director, supporting families through their darkest moments of grief. Think about the compassion that takes, the strength required to help others navigate loss while maintaining your own joy and optimism. John continued evolving, becoming a financial advisor and an accredited asset management specialist. In fall 2023, he opened his own Edward Jones branch office in Porter, Texas. He served on the board of directors for Camp Allen and was president-elect of the East Montgomery County Rotary Club, collecting awards for his community service. John Burgess wasn't just talented, he was extraordinary. A Renaissance man who touched countless lives in countless ways, which makes what happened next absolutely devastating. July 4th, 2025. A day that should have been filled with celebration and joy. A day when families across America gathered to enjoy summer, barbecues, and fireworks. For John Burgess, his wife Julia, and their 2 young sons, 5-year-old Jack and 21-month-old James, it was supposed to be a peaceful camping trip along the Guadalupe River in Kerr County, Texas. They had no way of knowing they were about to face nature's fury in its most terrifying form. Early that morning, something catastrophic began to happen. The Guadalupe River, normally a calm and gentle presence, began to rise.
That's the Guadalupe River, all of it just going underneath the bridge.
But this wasn't a gradual increase. This was something else entirely. In less than 1 hour, the river rose 26 feet. Let me repeat that, because it's almost impossible to comprehend. 26 feet in less than 60 minutes. Can you picture it? Families sleeping peacefully in their RVs and cabins, suddenly awakened by screaming, by the sound of rushing water, by the horrifying realization that they were trapped. The peaceful holiday retreat transformed into a nightmare. The river became a raging monster, sweeping away everything in its path: vehicles, cabins, and worst of all, people desperately trying to survive. What happened next at the Blue Oak RV Park will haunt everyone who heard about it.
We're at the Blue Oak RV Park right now with the owner, Lorena Guillen. As the sun has come up, the devastation here has become so clear.
Eyewitnesses described a scene that still brings tears to their eyes. In the middle of this catastrophic flooding, John Burgess showed the true measure of his character in his final moments. He was seen clutching a tree with everything he had, holding tight to his babies, Jack and James, as the powerful water surged around them. A father desperately trying to protect his children from the unstoppable force of nature. Can you imagine the terror, the desperation, the primal need to save your children, even as you realize you might not be able to? John fought. God, he fought so hard, but the overwhelming force of the flood was too much. The water swept them away. In the agonizing days that followed, search teams worked around the clock. The bodies of John and Julia were recovered, bringing devastating confirmation that they were gone. But the nightmare wasn't over. Jack and James, those two precious little boys, remained missing. Even by the time of the funeral service, their bodies hadn't been recovered, leaving a void that words can't adequately describe. Imagine being a family member, planning a funeral for 4 people when you've only found 2. Imagine the torture of not being able to lay your babies to rest. Yet in the midst of this unimaginable tragedy, there was one small mercy, one thread of hope in the darkness. John and Julia's eldest child, 8-year-old Jenna Lacey Burgess, survived. She had been at a different camp, spared from the catastrophic flooding that claimed her entire family. The family dog, Daisy, also survived and now provides whatever comfort is possible to a little girl who lost everything. But think about what Jenna now faces. At just 8 years old, she's an orphan who lost both parents and both siblings in one horrific moment. How do you process that? How do you move forward? The funeral service on July 18th, 2025, at St. John the Divine Episcopal Church in Houston.
John Burgess, his wife Julia, and their 2 young sons, they were killed while camping along the Guadalupe. Their funeral was held this morning at St. John the Divine Episcopal Church here in Houston.
Was one of the most emotionally devastating events imaginable. 4 caskets, 2 of them tragically empty. Speakers shared memories of John and Julia. Julia, a beloved teacher at Liberty Elementary, who had successfully battled breast cancer, known for her grace and strength. John, the respected businessman with that famous boisterous laugh who could light up any room. And here's a connection that shocked many people. John Burgess was the younger brother of well-known country singer Pat Green.
John Burgess was the younger brother of country singer Pat Green.
Pat immediately organized a benefit concert for flood victims, raising over $1 million for relief efforts, a testament to John's impact and the power of community in times of crisis. But all the money in the world can't bring back what was lost that terrible morning on the Guadalupe River. So I have to ask you, how do you process this? How does the Texas Metal family, both the crew and the fans, move forward knowing that one of their brightest lights was extinguished in such a horrific way? Because this tragedy raises uncomfortable questions about fate, about the randomness of loss, and about how quickly everything we love can be taken away. But John Burgess and Bill Carlton weren't the only members of this tight-knit crew. What about the others? What happened to the men who worked side by side with these two, building automotive dreams day after day?
Automobile manufacturing hasn't changed much in the last 100 years, being quite ineffective, says inventor.
The rest of the crew, where are they now? Beyond the headlines and the tragedies, Texas Metal was built on the backs of several incredibly talented individuals, the skilled fabricators and mechanics who turned Bill Carlton's visions into reality. Key members like Tim Donaldson, Jamie Dwayne Marshall, and John Vario Vega appeared in countless episodes, demonstrating expertise that made fans believe anything was possible with enough skill and dedication. Tim Donaldson's background alone reads like an adventure novel. Before Texas Metal, he served in the Naval Reserves, worked as an electrician, and even served as a police officer in Lower Alloways Creek. He was a business owner, a franchise operator, and an executive in telecommunications. The man had lived multiple lives before he ever picked up a welding torch for the cameras. As of 2025, there's no indication that Tim is dead or in jail. He appears to have continued his career without the kind of public controversy that engulfed Bill Carlton or the devastating loss that took John Burgess. The same holds true for Jamie Dwayne Marshall and John Vario Vega, integral members who consistently delivered incredible work. They've maintained relatively private lives, avoiding the spotlight beyond their on-screen appearances. But doesn't that make you wonder? In a show where the main star was arrested and another beloved member died tragically, what does it mean that these other crew members have stayed under the radar? Are they the lucky ones? Or are there stories we simply haven't heard yet? Texas Metal, the Empire's foundation and future. To truly understand where Texas Metal stands in 2025, we need to rewind to where it all began. Extensive Metalworks was founded by Bill Carlton way back in 1994, years before reality TV, before social media, before anyone outside Texas knew his name. Bill grew up on the very property where the shop now stands, land his father purchased in 1976. He literally grew up surrounded by the sound of engines, watching his dad transform trucks and cars into something special. By 1998, Bill turned his passion into a full-time business. But it wasn't until November 7th, 2017, that Texas Metal premiered on television, catapulting Bill and his crew to national fame. For 7 seasons, from 2017 through 2024, Texas Metal dominated its niche. The show gave viewers front-row seats to incredible transformations, rusty classics becoming showroom masterpieces.
Companies from all over the world, big and small, came to showcase the latest developments in self-driving tech, in-car entertainment,
Massive trucks getting outrageous custom work, and creative solutions to seemingly impossible builds. There was even a spin-off show called Texas Metal Extra, that dove deeper behind the scenes, featuring segments like In Bill's Yard, showcasing his personal vehicle collection, and Tim's Drift Van. New episodes continued airing through April 2024. And here's the surprising part. As of April 2025, the show still had exceptionally high audience demand. People were still watching, still wanting more, despite all the controversy. So was Texas Metal canceled? This is where things get murky. After Bill Carlton's 2022 arrest, many assumed the show was finished. How could a network continue featuring someone facing such serious charges? Yet episodes kept coming throughout 2023 and into 2024. The show's strong viewership numbers suggest that either the network found a way to work through the controversy, or they're positioning the brand for some kind of reboot or new project. As of now, in late 2025, the show's official status remains somewhat unclear. No formal cancellation has been announced, but no new seasons have been confirmed either. But here's what the show often didn't reveal: the complicated reality behind reality TV. Cars sometimes experienced problems after leaving the shop. Battery issues, suspension troubles, problems stemming from extreme custom work that looked amazing but didn't always function perfectly in the real world. Some special parts were installed purely for the big reveal on camera, then removed later because they weren't street legal. Filming often happened out of sequence to create better story flow, meaning customers sometimes didn't receive their finished vehicles immediately after that dramatic TV reveal. And here's the real kicker: the money made from selling cars on the show often didn't even cover the actual cost of building them. The show itself, the TV production, the exposure, the brand building, that was the real business, not just the car sales. So, what does this tell us? It reveals that Texas Metal, like so much reality television, was a carefully crafted production that balanced entertainment with reality, sometimes favoring the former over the latter. Does that diminish the incredible artistry? The real skill on display? The genuine passion these builders brought to their work? Maybe not. But it does force us to look at the show and reality TV in general with more critical eyes. The lasting legacy. So where does this leave us in 2025? Bill Carlton, despite his arrest and the controversy that followed, has maintained his presence in the automotive world. He's not in jail. He's still building cars, and the show that made him famous continued airing with him as the face of the operation. Does that represent redemption, a second chance? Or does it show how quickly we're willing to overlook serious issues when someone provides entertainment we enjoy? That's a question each viewer has to answer for themselves. The Texas Metal crew, who survived both scandal and tragedy, have largely continued their work, though undoubtedly changed by everything that's happened. Tim Donaldson, Jamie Dwayne Marshall, John Vario Vega. These skilled craftsmen remain part of the custom car world, their contributions often overlooked in favor of the more dramatic storylines. And John Burgess? His memory lives on not just in the episodes he appeared in, but in the countless lives he touched throughout his remarkable journey. From chef to funeral director to financial advisor to reality TV star, he was proof that we contain multitudes, that our lives can touch others in ways we never imagine. His surviving daughter, Jenna, supported by her community and her uncle Pat Green, carries forward the legacy of a family that showed incredible love even in their final moments. But stepping back from individual stories,
I lost my brother, my sister-in-law, John and Julia and their 2 boys.
Texas Metal forces us to confront bigger questions about reality television and celebrity culture. How much do we really know about the people we invite into our homes through our screens? What responsibility do networks have when controversies emerge? How do we reconcile admiration for someone's talent with disappointment in their personal choices? And perhaps most importantly, when tragedy strikes, how do we honor the memory of those lost while acknowledging the complicated reality of who they were and the world they inhabited? The future of Texas Metal as a television show remains genuinely uncertain as we close out 2025. Will there be a season 8? Will the brand pivot to a new format, perhaps with different leadership? Will extensive metalworks continue operating, even if the cameras never return? The high audience demand suggests there's still appetite for this kind of content. Custom car culture isn't going anywhere. If anything, it's growing stronger as people seek ways to express individuality through their vehicles. But the show carries baggage now. It's impossible to watch old episodes without thinking about Bill Carlton's arrest or John Burgess's tragic death. The innocence is gone, replaced by a complicated mix of appreciation for the craft and discomfort about the behind-the-scenes reality. Through following the Texas Metal story, we've learned several hard truths. Success and fame don't protect anyone from personal demons or legal consequences. Bill Carlton's empire couldn't shield him from the ramifications of his alleged actions. Tragedy can strike anyone, anytime, regardless of how much joy they bring to others. John Burgess's incredible spirit and service to his community couldn't protect him or his family from nature's fury. Reality TV is exactly that. A carefully constructed version of reality designed to entertain, not necessarily to reveal truth. The show we watched was as much a production as any scripted drama, just with real people and real consequences. And perhaps most importantly, the people we watch on TV are complex human beings with full lives, struggles, and stories that extend far beyond what makes it into a 43-minute episode. As we close out 2025, the Texas Metal story serves as a fascinating case study in modern celebrity, reality television, and the automotive world. It reminds us that behind every successful show are real people with real problems, real families, and real consequences when things go wrong. It shows us that talent and success don't insulate anyone from tragedy or poor choices. And it forces us to reckon with our own role as consumers of entertainment. What we're willing to overlook, what we can't forgive, and how we separate art from artist. Texas Metal's story isn't over, even if the show never produces another episode. The cars built there continue rolling down highways. The techniques demonstrated continue inspiring fabricators. The memories, both joyful and tragic, continue shaping how people think about custom automotive culture. Bill Carlton's arrest forced a reckoning with the reality that our heroes are flawed humans. John Burgess's death reminded us that tragedy doesn't discriminate based on talent, kindness, or the joy someone brings to the world. The show's uncertain future demonstrates that nothing in entertainment is guaranteed, no matter how successful it once was. But perhaps most importantly, the Texas Metal story reveals that reality television, at its best and worst, is a mirror reflecting not just the people on screen, but also ourselves. Our appetite for entertainment, our willingness to forgive, our capacity for compassion, and our struggle to reconcile admiration with disappointment. So, as we look at Texas Metal in late 2025, we see a complex legacy, incredible automotive artistry paired with personal controversy, talented craftsmen elevating their industry while dealing with private struggles, tragic loss that reminds us of life's fragility, and a question that every viewer must answer for themselves. Can you separate the work from the workers? Can you appreciate the cars without endorsing the behavior? Can you mourn a loss while acknowledging a complicated truth? These aren't easy questions, and there are no universally correct answers. What we can say with certainty is this: Texas Metal changed custom car television. For better and worse, for inspiration and warning, the show left an indelible mark on automotive culture and reality TV. The chrome still shines on those incredible builds. The engines still roar. The artistry remains undeniable. But now, when we look at those custom creations, we see more than just metal and machines. We see
regulatory difficulties and high costs continue to dog the development and uptake of personal aerial vehicles.
Human stories of ambition and failure, of talent and tragedy, of dreams realized and nightmares endured. And maybe that's the real legacy of Texas Metal. Not just the cars, but the reminder that behind every dream built on wheels are real people, living real lives, with all the complexity, contradiction, and consequences that entails. The show may or may not return. The controversies may or may not fade. But the story of Texas Metal, with all its glory and darkness, will remain a fascinating chapter in reality television and custom car history. And for young Jenna Burgess, growing up without her beloved parents and brothers, we hope the same community that celebrated her father's work continues providing the love and support she needs. She is the future now, carrying forward the best of what her father represented: compassion, creativity, and an unshakable commitment to making the world a little bit better. That's the Texas Metal story as we know it in 2025. A tale of incredible highs and devastating lows, of dreams built and lives shattered, of talent that inspired and controversy that shocked. It's not the story anyone expected when that first episode aired in November 2017, but it's the story we got. Complicated, tragic, and undeniably human. What happens next? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain: the legacy of Texas Metal, for better or worse, is now permanently etched in reality television history. So what do you think? Can you still watch Texas Metal knowing what happened behind the scenes? Does Bill Carlton deserve a second chance, or should his past define his future? How do we honor John Burgess's memory while acknowledging the complexities of the show he was part of? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. And if this deep dive into the real story behind Texas Metal opened your eyes to the complicated reality behind reality TV, share this with others who might be interested. Because the truth, the whole truth, is always more complicated than what makes it into a 43-minute episode. And sometimes, the real story is the one that never made it to air at all.